Hey, it's time for another edition of the Cseekly Recap. I'm your host, Csomm, and I'm here to go a bit deeper into the topics that I've covered in my shorts. The footage behind is from the game Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred. Let's get the show on the road. The first topic of the day is all about Mass Effect Andromeda. It might not be perfect, but was it treated fairly? Spoiler alert, it was. The voice of Ryder reveals what really went wrong behind the scenes and why the game deserves a second look. And trust me when I say this, I gave this game more than second look. I played it 3 times from start to finish. And if you are a Mass Effect fan and you were expecting something along the lines of the original trilogy, save your money, save your time. This isn't it. And let me be clear about this whole situation. I understand this person is going to defend what he made, and more power to him. However, his opinion about this situation, or anyone's opinion when they make something, is probably going to be very subjective. At the end of the day, if it wasn't, there wouldn't be any passion about the project and it wouldn't go as planned, all that kind of shit. However, that ain't my problem, buddy. I say it like I see it. And again, I played the game 3 times. I know exactly what the issues with the game are. And not to mention, we had that article from Jason Schreier where he outlined all the problems that Andromeda went during the development process. So once again, I will be very straight about the issues that Andromeda has, but also I will outline what was good with that game. So let's start with the good stuff, which essentially there is only one thing that's kinda good, which is the combat. If the combat in that game was bad, and to be honest, it was very hard to make it bad because you had the Mass Effect trilogy combat behind it, especially for Mass Effect 3, and you just had to kinda innovate a bit, and that's what they actually did. They introduced the jetpack, and you get this strange, weird, amazing almost mobility that kinda fits okayish with the whole formula. And if not for the combat, I don't think I would be playing the game any more than I actually played. But then there are the bad parts, which there's plenty of those. For starters, the story is a complete mess. The characters, that is, the companions, are so annoying and obnoxious. I literally could not connect with any of them because they were just there to tick these woke social justice boxes in order to make a character. I mean, come on, man. If you have a character that immediately says he or she is gay and that's your point of identity, then you know the shit is bad. You don't make a compelling character like that. You don't write them like that because it's not going to be a compelling character. Case in point. Then you have the whole exploration, which was annoying, and all those silly quests where you need to kill same enemies for a gazillion times in order to complete the said quests. The UI and crafting was also not that great. Then we have the facial animations, which were completely ridiculous. Even if you wanted to get immersed into the whole character and storyline situation, you just couldn't because people were rolling eyes at you for no particular reason other than they could. And it's all about because the facial animations were fucked. So once again, you don't even have to play the game. You can only read the article made by our boy Schreier to see what kind of development hell Andromeda was. And trust me, nothing can come out of that that's remotely good. And the product of that particular development process, which is Mass Effect Andromeda, clearly showcases its problems during that particular phase. So I'm sorry, Mr. Voice of Ryder or whatever the hell your name is, but your claims are simply retarded. If the guy had an ounce of brain before actually speaking about these things, he would be something like, moderate. Saying like, we didn't hit all the marks, but we did our best and this and that. But instead of blaming the real people, which were the developers not making the game like it should have been made, or I could even say that the game shouldn't have been made in the first place because the whole situation feels rushed and half-baked, then I would be like, okay, he's just a bit passionate, stuff like that. But when I read what he was saying in the article, it's just completely asinine. Just check this particular quote. It says, on top of that, it was released to a very toxic atmosphere online and elsewhere in the gaming space. It quickly became punching bag of the week for online chuds for views and clicks. Their love of hate sealed the deal. What saddens me is that this would not be the last time I was in the project doomed by online haters picking a game for punching bag of the week. I also worked on Highguard. I think this kinda explains everything that you need to hear from this particular gentleman. And the best course of action is just to ignore this particular person. I don't think I want to be stuck with a pig in the mud, and the pig loves the mud, and I'm just getting muddy all over the place trying to prove my point. We are just going to let this be, as is, but again, I still feel the need to emphasize how dumb certain people are. I guess this is the world we live in today. And it's very fucking sad. And speaking about sad things, and by the way, never in my wildest dreams I thought that I would be talking negatively about Blood of Dawnwalker, but the system requirements they have released for the game are just atrocious. You see, they have this dev stream where they said that they're going to release the game on September the 3rd, and on that stream, they showcase gameplay, systems, and story elements, and the game looks much closer to launch than expected. And the elements that I was witnessing were tremendous, they were amazing. I actually was enjoying the whole dev stream, and then they dropped the system requirements. And for me, the hype, even if I didn't have it, but let's just say the hype just died down. Now, for reference, I play at 1080p, and generally I don't really give a shit how the game looks like. In this day and age, it's very hard to make a game that looks ugly, unless you have this specific art style or something like that, but generally speaking, everybody's trying to do that photorealism thing, so yeah, it's not that difficult to make a good-looking game. But like I said, when you check the system requirements, it's completely bonkers. If you want to play at native 1080p with 60 FPS, you need to have AMD Ryzen 9 7900X, 16GB of RAM, and NVIDIA RTX 5060, which is 12GB of RAM. Okay, maybe you want to go a bit lower. In that case, you would need something like AMD Ryzen 7 3700X for your CPU, 16GB of RAM, and NVIDIA's RTX 3050 with 6GB of VRAM. I don't know what these people are thinking. If they ever saw the average hardware that Steam user has, it's nowhere near this, let me tell you that. And if you want your game to reach as many people as possible, because again, this is a new studio, they want that hype in order to make, let's say, a sequel or something like that, you would think they would lower these presets so most of the people can play it, at least on low. But apparently that's not the case. Why? I have no fucking clue, I can only speculate. The first speculation that I have in mind is that the game is just blatantly not optimized. It's one of those Unreal Engine 5 games, and we've seen in the past what happens with them. They're basically trying to overcompensate or overcome the issue with lack of optimization by overtuning the required settings or system requirements. And imagine this, having a barely over a year-old card listed in the requirements is something completely different. Also, I would point out that the game doesn't look something spectacular like. If you want to push these types of specs, you would at least expect them to showcase some kind of amazing next-gen graphics, but that was not the case. The game looks okay, as far as I'm concerned, nothing extra, so I don't know why are they doing this in the sense that, again, we need these types of specs because the looks of the game do not warrant this particular situation. Now, there was a little disclaimer down there saying that you can use DLSS and all that bullshit, but still, it's still a shitfest no matter how I look at this. So yeah, I wouldn't be very optimistic about me playing the game unless they do something in the meantime. I mean, September is still way off. They might do something in order to, let's say, lessen the system requirements. But as far as I'm concerned, a 12GB VRAM for 1080p 60 FPS is just unacceptable. And it's really a shame because I was really expecting to play this and to experience this new system that they have in game with the, time management and all that stuff. But it seems to me that right now, if nothing changes, I will probably give a pass to this game. I might just go and buy it and test it on my system to see what's going on. But at the end of the day, it's kinda likely that I will just refund it because I won't be able to run it since, again, the system requirements are retarded as fuck. Who knows, maybe I'll go back to playing at 720p because I cannot play it on 1080p. That's going to be an interesting thing. I do need to point out that I was planning on upgrading my PC, but that's mostly reserved for the games like The Witcher 4. In my mind, that's the one game that's going to push the graphical fidelity to the max, and accordingly, I want to have a rig that can support this. So it's going to be so hilarious if The Witcher 4 system requirements are going to be lower than the blood of Dawnwalker requirements. I guess we just have to wait and see when the actual Witcher 4 official system requirements hit the public, but yeah, that's definitely going to be a funny one. And speaking about funny things, apparently Black Flag Resynced is removing Hidden Blade as a weapon. The resynced version is making another major change, and this time to the Hidden Blade. Ubisoft confirmed it won't be a selectable weapon anymore, instead becoming a contextual takedown mechanic. Obviously, no one is happy with this, and it raises a bigger question. How far can a remake change things before it stops feeling like the original? I watched the Ubisoft reveal for the Black Flag Resynced situation, and the impressions for that particular game, or rather the things that they were doing in the game, were questionable to say the least. And I thought to myself, this is what they're showcasing us, and I saw a couple of fuck-ups here and there, which again, nothing weird from Ubisoft, so I was thinking to myself, it's no way that they can fuck it up more. And then this launched, us not being able to use Hidden Blades as a weapon like before. And at this point, I don't really know what to say, what Ubisoft is doing. It's just so mind-boggling to me. Why would you remove this particular option for the gamers, for us who enjoy the original Black Flag? What was the point? You are just reducing the pool of weapons that we can use because now, after so many years, you think it's not a good idea to do this? At this point, I'm not surprised what they are doing. I think it's completely retarded, no matter how you look at it. And this whole situation reaffirms my original take that I had, that it's much better to go and play the original Black Flag if you want to experience this and just, ignore the one that's coming right now. Because at the end of the day, we are losing so many things that were good in that game, and they're adding so much shit that we don't really need. Case in point, that fucking parry system with all the flashes of those colors, or whatever the fuck those naval officers are, where one of them is a woman. Then again, I am looking forward picking up this game so I can shit on it, because I think it's going to be a blast in this particular department. This is just content that I don't even really need to think about. It just writes itself, So, in that particular sense, that kind of makes me happy because I don't really need to think about things. I just need to see it, feel how shitty it is, and talk about it. Zero effort content and maximum enjoyment on my side because I'm gonna have a nice fucking laugh about the whole situation. And since Ubisoft is doing these stupid things, I'm wondering what else they have changed for the worse. So I reckon stay tuned if we have some kind of a leaks in between or when the actual game launches. Also, at this point, it would be a surprise if the game isn't working properly, that is, if there are bugs and whatnot, so I fully expect that to happen. Because, like I said many times, nothing when it comes to Ubisoft can surprise me at this point. And that's basically it when it comes to the news that I covered this week. Thanks for watching, and as always, I encourage you to leave comments. I read all of them and I'm very happy to interact with you guys. If you enjoyed this content, consider liking it and subscribing for more discussions like this. And that's it from me, until the next one.